A month before I was due, Marcus, my husband, specially arranged for me to have a companion during labor. Worried I'd be afraid of the pain, while I was deeply moved by his gesture, I unexpectedly overheard him on the phone with Chloe, his adopted sister. "It's only been a few days. And you want it again? Be good, you just had a miscarriage. In a few days, we'll go to a 5-star hotel for 3 days and nights. Big brother will make sure you won't be able to leave the bed. Why are you crying? I told you not to worry about the baby. Once his baby is born, I'll tell her it was stillborn, and the baby will be yours to raise. You won't have to suffer the pain of childbirth again. Grace has been an orphan since childhood. She can endure anything later. I'll just make her have more babies." I said nothing, quietly leaving. Soon, the day of delivery arrived. He feigned anxiety, accompanying me into the delivery room. During labor, I nearly suffered an amniotic fluid embolism. When I miraculously woke up, Marcus looked sorrowful as he told me, "Grace, you gave birth to a stillborn baby." Immediately after, Mr. Robert, an investor in Marcus's company, suddenly burst in. "I specifically came back to discuss the project you proposed earlier." Marcus was overjoyed. He hugged me tightly. "Grace, that stillborn baby truly is my blessing." "A blessing? Are you sure?" A cold gust of wind suddenly swept through the hospital corridor. My trembling body instantly turned cold. In 5 years of marriage, I had suffered 3 miscarriages. Just as this baby was about to arrive, I discovered that Marcus had long been having an affair with Chloe, his adopted sister now. He even planned to give my child, carried for 10 months, to Chloe. The cold wind snapped me back to reality. Marcus had not yet hung up the phone. Suspicious? How could she possibly doubt my words? All these years, she's believed everything I told her. She was too in love with me to suspect. How could she possibly doubt me? Back then, if she hadn't actively pursued me for 3 years, seeing her sincerity and lack of family background, making her easy to manipulate, I wouldn't have agreed to be with her. Of course, most of it was for you, wasn't it? She's completely devoted to me. Even if she discovered our relationship someday, a little sweet talk, and she'd forgive me. She wouldn't dare not forgive me. If she didn't, I'd divorce her, and she'd be terrified. All right, don't worry. Even if my mom doesn't approve of us, haven't we still been secretly sleeping together all this time? Okay, 1 kiss. Then be a good girl and go to sleep. Kiss. Okay, last one, kiss. The call finally ended. As turned, I quickly reacted and left, returning to my hospital room before him. The moment he saw me, a look of concern appeared on his face. "What's wrong? Are you uncomfortable? Why is there so much sweat on your forehead?" He picked up a cotton towel nearby and wiped my forehead, then helped me to sit on the bed. "You're far along now. And the doctor said you could go into labor at any time. Tell me if you feel unwell anywhere, and I'll get the doctor. I was worried about you being home alone and something happening, which is why I had you admitted early. And I was worried you'd be bored by yourself. So I canceled many things and took time off to be with you. Grace, are you feeling better? Is the baby okay?" In just a moment, he was once again my gentle and considerate husband. But now, my stomach churned with disgust. I pulled my hand away from his, looked up, and asked him, "Marcus, what if something happens to the baby during delivery? Will you lie to me to comfort me, saying the baby is fine?" Marcus's expression flickered, and he quickly said, "How could I? Even if something happened to the baby, I would definitely hire the best medical team to treat him." "All right, don't overthink it. Go to sleep. I have matters at the company I need to rush back and handle." He stroked my head and quickly left. Not long ago, he had switched to an electric car. He had used my phone to bind the car's device at the time and forgotten to unbind it in the past. I never suspected him, so I hadn't paid attention. Now, I opened my phone to check his route. The car eventually stopped at Chloe's house. A moment later, Chloe's social media post popped up on my phone. Someone said he didn't want to be with his frumpy wife and insisted on coming to my place to show off his cooking. "He's been feeding me so much lately that I've gained weight." The accompanying picture showed Marcus's back, his head not visible. He was wearing an apron and cooking in Chloe's kitchen. When my pregnancy sickness was at its worst, I had tearfully told Marcus I wanted to eat noodles he cooked himself, but he had brushed me off then, casually saying he didn't know how. In truth, whether he could or would were entirely different matters, compared to the shock and sadness I felt earlier. Now, I had composed myself. After exiting the page, I called Professor. "Professor, I recall my research findings have an authorization period. Is that correct?" "Yes. I don't want to continue the authorization, okay? Could you please contact the owner on my behalf? Marcus didn't visit for 2 days. As I was walking in the corridor, I overheard some nurses discussing. Yes, it's the husband from room 28. I saw it clearly. He was holding a woman. I heard that woman just had a miscarriage. He usually pretends to love his wife so much here, but it turns out he'd already gotten another woman pregnant. Shh. Room 28 is coming. Seeing me approach, they immediately fell silent. I pretended not to have heard anything. Slowly walked past them and went downstairs to the obstetrics and gynecology department. Marcus was sitting outside the consulting room, looking very nervous. Soon, a sorrowful cry came from inside. Chloe cried hysterically. How could this happen? Marcus, I don't want this. I don't want to be unable to be a mother for the rest of my life. No, doctor, you must be lying to me, right? Marcus immediately stood up, rushed in, and hugged Chloe. What's wrong? What happened? The doctor said. You rushed to have intercourse just a few days after her miscarriage surgery. Of course, something was bound to go wrong. Moreover, the bleeding is too heavy. She needs immediate surgery to remove her uterus. Chloe's body trembled in Marcus's arms as she kept saying, No, I don't want to have my uterus removed. Marcus, you must have a way, right? There must be a way. Please save me. Marcus held Chloe tightly, his eyes filled with anxiety and deep concern for her. He aggressively grabbed the doctor's collar. No matter what it takes, you must save her uterus. Money is no object. If even a single hair on her body is harmed, I swear I'll make you and your hospital pay the price. I had never seen Marcus so furious, for he could completely discard his usual gentle facade, revealing such a ruthless side. I stood by the door, watching him with trembling hands embrace a nearly collapsing Chloe, my heart filled with complex emotions. It turns out, he truly could abandon everything for this adopted sister, but even with Marcus's threats, the doctor insisted. Even if the world's top specialists came, the result would still be removal. I recommend immediate surgery. Further delay could be life-threatening. Hearing the doctor speak with such certainty, Marcus finally released his grip on the doctor's collar. He turned to comfort Chloe. Chloe, listen to me. I'll always be with you. I won't let anything happen to you. It's all my fault. I shouldn't have been so rough. I deserve to die. He slapped himself hard, his voice so choked with sobs he could barely speak. Don't worry, even if your uterus is gone, I'll still make sure you become a mother. I've already made arrangements and pulled all my strings. The moment Grace's baby is born, I'll tell her it was stillborn, and then immediately give the baby to you. Be good. Let's go for surgery now. You'll be fine after a good sleep. Chloe slowly calmed down, but her eyes were already swollen from crying. She pressed her hands tightly against her stomach. Marcus, if I lose my uterus, will you stop wanting me? Marcus's eyes were red, and he gently stroked her hair, his voice low but firm. Don't say such foolish things. As long as you tell me to divorce her, I'll do it immediately. Just say the word, okay? Chloe finally became completely quiet, hugging Marcus tightly. Marcus picked her up and quickly headed toward the operating room. I watched their hurried departure, finding it utterly ridiculous. I turned to leave just as my phone rang. It was Professor. I've contacted them, Grace. They said as long as you agree to let them continue using your research findings, they will agree to any terms you set. I thought for a moment, really? Then I understand. I didn't chat much longer with Professor. After returning to my hospital room and showering, I went to sleep. In the middle of the night, I suddenly felt someone hugging me from behind. Marcus, smelling of a strange woman, pulled me forcefully into his arms. His voice was laced with suppression and distress. Grace, it's truly wonderful that I, Marcus, could marry you. To ensure our child is born safely, I specifically founded a hope charity. God will surely see our sincerity. The Haven home will open in a few days. Come with me. We'll accumulate blessings for our child together. He was truly going to great lengths just so I would give birth to the baby in my belly for Chloe. I didn't object. On the contrary, I agreed. Okay, we'll go together. On the day the Hope Charity opened, Marcus even invited many politicians for the ribbon-cutting ceremony. He introduced me one by one. This is my wife. She's about to give birth, but knowing that all of you leaders are now vigorously supporting charity development, she feels she and the baby in her belly should also contribute. He buttered up everyone, quickly forgetting me behind him. It turned out he was using my pregnant status to create a facade and build connections. The old Marcus never took me to public events, and certainly not after I got pregnant. He truly knew how to scheme, using my pregnancy to pave his way, advancing both his career and his love life. I looked down at my swollen belly, stroking the baby moving inside. Be good, baby. Mom will never let you be a sacrifice. After a full round, I intended to leave but couldn't find Marcus. As I looked around, a familiar figure approached from a distance. It was Chloe. I followed her. As I drew closer, I heard suppressed gasps coming from inside. Marcus chuckled, "Dirty little thing. It's only been a few days, and you're already so desperate. You just had surgery. I'm deeply concerned for you. I can't bear to, but I really can't help it." Chloe's voice had a hint of petulance, mixed with a trace of weakness, and without a uterus, we won't have to worry about getting pregnant anymore. Didn't you always say you didn't like using protection? Now we won't have to worry anymore anyway. Your wife will have the baby for us. Marcus let out a low laugh, his voice somewhat hoarse. You're the dirtiest and the smartest. Chloe hummed. Marcus doesn't like it? Marcus slapped her bottom hard, his voice deepening. I love it. I love it the most. Rustling sounds echoed from the room. I stood at the door, my palms turning icy cold. I took a deep breath, forcing myself to calm down. Immediately after, a sudden pain shot through my abdomen. I think I was going into labor. I immediately called an ambulance. The ambulance arriving startled Marcus. He rushed over, still adjusting his disheveled shirt, a faint lipstick mark visible on his collar. But I was already in too much pain to care. I was lifted onto the ambulance, and Marcus followed, his expression nervous, all the way. He tried to hold my hand. Don't be afraid, Grace, I'm here. I'll stay with you. I endured the intense pain and pulled my hand away. My stomach ached more and more, and the ambulance finally reached the hospital. The doctor immediately arranged for delivery, and I was pushed into the delivery room. Marcus quickly followed. I was already in a daze from the pain, only hearing Marcus instruct the doctor, give her more anesthetic. She can't have any complications, and the baby definitely can't. The delivery room was a flurry of activity, and my consciousness gradually blurred vaguely. I heard doctors and nurses shout, "It's bad. The mother is hemorrhaging. It's an amniotic fluid embolism. Quick, resuscitate. Family, save the mother or save the baby. Make a decision quickly." Marcus's voice was unequivocal. Save the baby. He had promised to give the baby to Chloe. He couldn't break his word, or Chloe would be disappointed. The doctor shouted, "The mother can still be saved. Hurry, hurry." When I woke up again, I was still in the operating room. Marcus was by my side. The moment he saw me, he told me with a sorrowful expression, "Grace, you gave birth to a stillborn baby." It was as if I had expected him to say that, so I wasn't particularly emotional. Immediately after, Mr. Robert, an investor in Marcus's company, suddenly burst into the operating room. He looked at Marcus. "Marcus, I specifically came back to discuss the project you proposed earlier." Marcus was instantly overjoyed. He hugged me tightly. "Grace, that stillborn baby truly is my blessing." I sneered inwardly. "A blessing? Are you sure? Mr. Robert, what a pleasant surprise to see you. You specifically came to talk about the project? You also think my project is excellent, don't you? Fantastic. Mr. Robert, thank you for this opportunity. This is the biggest chance for my company to turn things around." Marcus completely missed the coldness in my eyes. Still immersed in the joy of Mr. Robert's arrival, he hastily told Mr. Robert, "Don't worry, I'll commit my full effort to this project and will absolutely not disappoint you." Mr. Robert didn't immediately respond but looked at me instead. He asked, "Are you Dr. Grace?" I nodded weakly. Mr. Robert immediately smiled. "Wonderful. I finally get to meet you in person." He wanted to shake my hand but realized my current state was very unsuitable, so he had to give up. "Don't worry, your demands." He tried to continue, but I raised my hand to stop him. Now was not the time to reveal everything. Fortunately, Marcus was somewhat confused but didn't think too much of it. He proactively introduced, "Mr. Robert, this is my wife, Grace. She just finished delivery and is still very weak. Let's talk outside." Marcus was about to lead him out, but Robert had already understood my meaning. He smiled and nodded, then turned to Marcus. "Marcus, I came today to tell you that I've approved the project. Your company can begin preparations. However, the funding will be a few days late. I have other projects requiring investment recently." Marcus nodded repeatedly. "Mr. Robert, don't worry. I understand. A few days delay in funding is fine. Our company will put all its effort into the preliminary work." Mr. Robert patted his shoulder. "I trust you then." He nodded at me and turned to leave the operating room. Marcus, his face beaming with excitement, sat back beside me, gripping my hand tightly. Grace, do you know? This project is so important for us. Once the funds are in place, we can move forward smoothly. As soon as this project succeeds, my company can go public. I have to invest all the funds to give Mr. Robert a satisfactory answer. Grace, you truly are my lucky star. I looked at him calmly, saying nothing. He feigned concern, grasping my hand. Grace, how are you feeling now? You really must get better quickly. I looked at his hypocritical face, suppressing my nausea, and didn't pull my hand away, only saying, I'm fine. Marcus seemed somewhat surprised by my reaction, as I had always been compliant and obedient to him in the past. He paused, then continued, Grace, don't be too sad. If we lost this child, we can always have another. Besides, even though we lost the baby this time, it actually helped us a great deal. If that project succeeds, our future will be much better. Listening to his shameless words, I gritted my teeth in hatred inwardly, but outwardly remained impassive. I understand. Seeing me so sensible, Marcus grew even more triumphant. He launched into a passionate monologue about his plans for the project, as if he could already see the light of success. After he finished, I slowly spoke. Marcus, I want to see the baby. Marcus froze. Then his expression became somewhat unnatural. Grace, that child has already been taken care of. You can't see him. I looked directly into his eyes. I just want to see him one last time. After all, he was in my belly for so long. Marcus's eyes darted, avoiding my gaze. Grace, don't think about it. That child had no luck. Let's look forward. I sneered inwardly. It seemed he was determined to give the baby to Chloe. I deliberately put on a heartbroken act. Marcus, are you hiding something from me? Marcus quickly denied it. How could I, Grace? Don't you know my feelings for you? I stared at him. Then fine, prove it to me. Let me see the baby. Marcus looked troubled. After hesitating for a moment, he gritted his teeth. Okay, Grace, I promise you, but you must recover first. Once you're better, I'll take you. I was secretly pleased, but outwardly, I still feigned weakness and nodded. Marcus, you must keep your word. Marcus quickly promised. Don't worry, Grace, I will definitely keep my word. Watching his confident assurance, I secretly vowed to make him pay for his actions. In the following days, Marcus was busy with the preliminary preparations for the project, leaving early and returning late each day, showing me only superficial concern. I used this time to secretly contact a private investigator, asking him to investigate Chloe's miscarriage and Marcus's recent activities. The detective was efficient, sending me some information and photos within a few days. The photos showed Marcus frequently entering a high-end apartment, which was Chloe's residence. The information also revealed that Chloe's miscarriage was not accidental but deliberate, aiming to completely rid herself of pregnancy worries so she could be with Marcus without any inhibitions. Among the photos provided by the private investigator were several pictures of my baby. In the photos, Chloe was holding the baby, but her face was filled with disdain. Fearing she couldn't care for the baby, Marcus had even hired a confinement nurse specifically to look after the child. Chloe completely disregarded the baby's well-being, only reluctantly holding the child when Marcus was there, with an impatient expression on her face. Looking at the baby's thin little face in the photos, my heart ached as if being cut by a knife. I could barely breathe, but I knew it wasn't time to react yet. I had to hold back. I carefully hid these pieces of evidence, waiting for the right moment. After a few more days, my body had recovered significantly, and Marcus finally remembered what he had promised me. Grace, how do you feel today? I'll take you out for a walk and we can see the baby. He volunteered to take me, likely wanting to put an end to my notions. Marcus arrived at my hospital room early, his face wreathed in smiles. I nodded and agreed. Marcus took me to Whispering Cemetery. He led me to a small grave and with feigned sadness said, Grace, this is our child. I buried him here so he can rest peacefully and be reborn into a good life. I knelt, my fingers gently brushing the headstone. Before I could say anything, Chloe's voice suddenly came from behind. Oh, isn't this Grace? What are you doing here? Oh, I remember. Marcus said your baby was stillborn, so you must be here to pay respects to that stillborn baby, right? After saying this, she gave Marcus a meaningful look with a smile. I suppressed the anger in my heart, pretending not to hear the mockery in her words. Marcus's expression subtly changed but quickly returned to normal as he said coolly, Chloe, don't talk nonsense. Chloe shrugged indifferently, her gaze sweeping over me with contempt. I knew Chloe was deliberately provoking me, but for now, I could only suppress my emotions. Quietly stand up and say calmly, "Let's go." Marcus nodded, took my hand, and a flash of triumph even crossed his eyes. In that moment, I became even more determined about my plan. I would make them pay the full price for their actions. I whispered Marcus. Was the baby truly just stillborn? He froze, his eyes darting, but he said nothing. I slowly turned and looked at Chloe, giving a cold smile. Chloe, you're always so fond of joking, but did you know? If you laugh too much, you might find yourself regretting it. Her face instantly turned pale, and she was choked into silence. I continued, whether the baby was stillborn or not, I know perfectly well. If you're so concerned, perhaps you should mind your own business. He's your brother, not your man, constantly being so openly affectionate with him. Have some shame. Marcus tugged at my arm, his face ashen. Grace, don't be so vicious. Chloe hid in Marcus's arms. Marcus, look, Grace is always bullying me, and she's cursing at me like this. Please help me. Marcus frowned, but unlike before, he didn't immediately side with Chloe and scold me. He only said softly, Chloe, stop being dramatic. Grace isn't in a good mood right now. Chloe, seeing Marcus didn't help her, stomped her foot and said angrily, Marcus, you've changed. You always used to side with me. I watched them being dramatic coldly, feeling increasingly disgusted. He turned and gave Chloe a warning look. Go back inside, don't come out and scare her away, understand? I'll come back to you after I take your sister-in-law home. Be good. As he spoke, he specifically squeezed Chloe's wrist, with just enough force to remind her of something. Chloe pouted, glared at me fiercely, and then turned to leave in a huff. I watched her retreating back, a cold smirk playing on my lips. Marcus turned to me, his expression complex, and whispered, Grace, I know you're hurting, but Chloe is just naive. I spoiled her. I smiled softly, my tone calm but distant. Yes, naive. She truly needs a good lesson. Marcus paused, then said, You're right. I'll give her a good talking to later. He heavily emphasized the words talking to. Marcus tried to take my hand. Grace, let's go. You're the older sister. Be the bigger person and don't stoop to her level. I shook off his hand and said, You don't need to pull me. I can walk myself. With that, I turned and walked toward the cemetery exit. Marcus quickly followed, saying, Grace, don't be angry. Chloe just has a childish temper. Don't hold it against her. I stopped and looked at him. Marcus, she's still young. I don't think she's young. I think she's wicked. Marcus's face changed. Grace, that's going too far. She's my sister, so she's your sister too. Can't you, as a sister-in-law, be less vicious? I sneered and reminded him, Sister? Do you really consider her your sister? Marcus's eyes showed a hint of panic, but he still forced a calm demeanor. Grace, what do you mean by that? Chloe is certainly my sister. I looked directly into his eyes, saying each word clearly. Is that so? Then how do you explain what's going on between you two? Don't take me for a fool. A flicker of guilt crossed Marcus's face, but he quickly reverted to his hypocritical self. He took my hand, his tone softening. Grace, don't imagine things. There's really nothing between Chloe and me. She's just dependent on me. I abruptly pulled my hand away, my voice rising in anger. Dependent? So dependent that you're in bed together, and you still tell me it's just dependence? Marcus's face turned extremely ugly. He looked around and lowered his voice. Grace, quiet down. Don't make a scene here. Seeing his guilty conscience, I grew even angrier. What? Are you afraid I'll expose your dirty secrets? Marcus, you hypocrite. Marcus, enraged, pointed at me. Grace, don't go too far. What nonsense are you spouting? I met his gaze fearlessly and said coldly, Nonsense? Marcus, do you dare to confront me? Come out, and let's clarify your relationship face to face. Marcus's eyes darted. Avoiding my gaze, he forced a calm tone. Confront about what? There's nothing to confront. Don't be so unreasonable. My provocation finally exposed his guilt, so I left it at that. I stopped and turned to leave immediately. I knew that if I expressed suspicion, Marcus would definitely act. Sure enough, that evening Marcus went to see Chloe. The next day, news came that Chloe was moving. Marcus likely feared I would confront Chloe and discover the truth, so he made her move directly, but my private investigator had given me her new address. After I recovered somewhat, I voluntarily went to Chloe's new residence. She wouldn't have to keep provoking me. I intended to go to her. I knocked, and the confinement nurse opened the door. The nurse didn't recognize me but politely asked, "Who are you looking for?" I smiled and said, "I'm here to see Chloe." The nurse looked hesitant. "Ms. Chloe isn't feeling well today and is still resting. Presumably, Marcus had been too passionate last night." I dropped my smile. Then all the more reason she should see me. Seeing her still hesitate, I added, "I'm her sister-in-law, Grace." The nurse quickly nodded and let me in. "You're her sister-in-law? I've never seen you before." Chloe just had a baby and Mr. Z instructed her to rest more, so I didn't want to disturb her. "Please be quiet. The baby just fell asleep." Hearing her mention the baby, I couldn't help but want to rush in and see him. But I suppressed the impulse. "Ms. Miller, who is it?" Chloe came out upon hearing the voices. Distinct red marks visible on her neck. She froze when she saw me. Then sneered, "Grace, what brings you here today? I suppose you're here to cause trouble again." I slowly approached, my tone gentle yet sharp. "I came to see you, and to see the baby." Chloe's expression changed, then quickly returned to her arrogant demeanor. "What baby? Even if I had a baby, what's it to you? You're getting a bit too nosy, aren't you, Grace?" I smiled faintly, my gaze falling on the red marks on her neck, my voice calm. "Is that so? You're admitting you had a baby? But as your sister-in-law, I still need to remind you, some things, when done too often, can lead to consequences." Chloe's eyes darted. She subconsciously covered her neck, then dropped her hand, forcing a calm expression. "What do you mean by that, Grace? What have I done to face consequences?" I looked directly into her eyes, enunciating each word. "You know perfectly well." Just then, the baby's crying suddenly erupted from inside the room. The confinement nurse quickly went in. I followed quickly. Chloe, however, rushed over and blocked me directly. "What are you doing? Who let you into the room without permission?" I pushed her away and walked straight to the crib. The baby's little face was red, crying hysterically. I couldn't help but want to reach out and hold him, but before my fingers could touch him, Chloe rushed forward, grabbed me, and pushed me to the ground. "Get out. You're not welcome in my house." The baby cried even harder. Before I could even stand up, Marcus's voice came from the doorway. "What's wrong?" He saw me, and his expression instantly changed. Before I could react, Chloe immediately rushed into his arms to complain, "Marcus, Grace is going crazy. She came here and hit me and cursed at me. I didn't do anything wrong. Please control her. Look at my neck." She scratched it red. Marcus looked down at the marks on her neck, frowning deeply, his voice colder. "Grace, what is going on with you? How did you know about this place?" "Chloe is naive. But aren't you also being immature?" I stood up, dusted off my clothes, and looked calmly at Marcus. "I'm not being immature. I'm here to take my child." Hearing this, Chloe paused, then burst out laughing. "Grace, are you out of your mind? This is my child. How could you possibly take him?" I looked at her triumphant expression, feeling a wave of disgust. "Yours? Can you give birth without being pregnant? Besides, you had your uterus removed. Can you still give birth?" Chloe's laughter ceased abruptly. "How did you know?" I took a step forward. "Not only do I know that you and your brother were messing around, had a miscarriage, and then a hysterectomy, I also know that you two conspired to steal my baby. I'm warning you. I've collected all the evidence. Either you give me back my child, or you can both expect to go to jail." Chloe was momentarily nervous. She looked at Marcus, clutching his shirt corner tightly. Marcus, after his initial shock, suddenly laughed. "Grace, since you know, there's no need for us to keep hiding it. Call the police? Go to jail? Don't be so naive. You're an orphan. What do you have to fight us with? If you insist on fighting Chloe, then don't blame me for being unkind." With that, he directly called the police. Before the call connected, I warned him, "Marcus, are you sure you want to do this? Are you prepared to bear the consequences?" He scoffed. "You're an orphan, financially dependent on me. How dare you question me?" The call connected, and Marcus immediately said, "Hello, I want to report a crime. Someone is trying to take my son. Grace, don't blame me for not considering our past. You brought this upon yourself. Get ready for jail." Chloe forcefully kissed Marcus's cheek. "This is great, Marcus. Now we don't have to worry about her anymore. We're free." I sneered. This was naive. The next second, Marcus's phone rang. He quickly answered, a smile spreading across his face. "Mr. Robert? Hello. What? The investment is canceled? I've invested all the company's money. And now you're telling me it's canceled? Mr. Robert? Mr. Robert, please give me another chance to explain. Mr. Robert Marcus's hand trembled slightly, and he collapsed onto the floor. It's over, everything is over. I scoffed inwardly. This was the moment I had been waiting for. I wanted to wait until he had poured all his money in, then utterly destroy him when he couldn't bear any more losses. I slowly crouched down, looking at his desperate face, and whispered, Marcus, what did you think I was enduring all this for? You used me, betrayed me, stole my child, and even wanted my life. Marcus, I'll make sure you get what you deserve. I stood up, took out my phone, and dialed a number. Mr. Robert? This is Grace. Thank you for your cooperation. I'll handle everything from here. Marcus abruptly looked up, his eyes wide with disbelief. He stared at me in disbelief, his lips trembling, but he couldn't utter a word. Chloe also froze, the smile on her face rigid, terror slowly dawning in her eyes. I looked at them coldly. You must be wondering how I got Mr. Robert's contact information. You guessed right. I'm the one who got Mr. Robert to agree to your partnership, and then to cancel it. Marcus, have you forgotten? Though I'm an orphan, I've always excelled academically. I was already a doctor before I got together with you. It just so happens that the research and development equipment Mr. Robert uses is my invention. Whether to authorize it or not, that's entirely up to me. Marcus's eyes gradually shifted from shock to fury. He abruptly stood up, but his legs were weak, causing him to stumble. You planned this all along? I slightly raised my chin, my gaze filled with scorn. That's right. From the moment you betrayed me, I started laying my plans. Only then did Chloe react. She shrieked and lunged at me. You bitch, I'll kill you. I easily sidestepped her. Chloe, having lunged with too much force, fell flat on the ground, face planting. Marcus watched Chloe's pathetic sprawl but didn't go to help her. He just stared intently at me. Grace, what exactly do you want? I walked to the crib, gently picked up the baby. The child gradually stopped crying in my arms. I looked at him tenderly, then turned to Marcus and said, I want you both to pay for everything you've done, and now, the game has just begun. Marcus's face turned grim. He tried to snatch the baby. Give me back the child. I took a step back with the baby in my arms and said coldly, Marcus, do you really think you have the right to touch this child? You don't deserve to be a father at all. I've already submitted the evidence and filed for divorce. You're the one who's going to jail. Just then, there was a knock at the door. The police officers had arrived. Marcus's face instantly went ashen. He suddenly knelt before me. Grace, please let me explain. I had my reasons. Please listen to me. Just give me a chance, okay? Here's what we'll do. You talk to Mr. Robert first. Ask him not to cut the investment. Once the company's issues are resolved, anything is negotiable. Chloe came over and tugged at Marcus. Marcus, what are you doing? Why are you begging her? Marcus raised his hand and slapped her directly. Get away from me. It's all your fault, you bitch. You dirty little thing. Always seducing me. You worthless piece of trash. Do you really think I'd still want you? Get out. Chloe clutched her face, looking at Marcus in disbelief. Tears streamed down her face as she repeatedly hit him. You lied to me. You said you'd marry me. You said I was the one you loved. Chloe was crying hysterically, her emotions completely shattered. I watched the scene unfold quietly, my heart completely unmoved. Marcus kicked her away. Get out. Even though he clung to my leg, continuing to beg me, saying H do anything if it just changed my mind. Grace, we've been married for so many years, and we have a child. Please, for the sake of our child, for the sake of me being his father, forgive me this one time. I promise. I'll never make such a mistake again. I'll make sure that bitch Chloe gets far away and I'll never contact her again. Grace, please give me another chance. After a long delay, the people outside were already preparing to break down the door. I kicked Marcus away and opened the door. Did someone here report that a child was being taken? I nodded, pointing to Marcus and Chloe on the ground. Yes, it's those two. I recounted the entire incident to the police officers in full detail. Marcus and Chloe were also taken to the police car. Due to Mr. Robert's withdrawal of funds, Marcus's company's cash flow completely collapsed. Not only did it go bankrupt, but it also accumulated a huge amount of debt. He consistently refused to divorce me. On the day of the hearing, heavy rain poured outside the courthouse. Marcus was escorted by court officers, constantly shouting, Grace, you can't do this to me. Grace, you can't be so cruel. I'm the child's father. Grace, please give me another chance. I beg you. Grace, I know I was wrong. Please, won't you?" I ignored him. Even if Marcus repeatedly tried to win me back, I would never go back. The court finally granted the divorce, and I was given sole custody of the child. Whenever I looked at the child's innocent smile, I was grateful for my initial decision. Life might not be easy, but I never regretted taking that step. Thank you for watching this video. If you have any thoughts about this story, feel free to share them in the comment section.